All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're talking about a huge challenge for pretty much any company using AI, especially for things like sustainability reporting. How do you actually use your data without breaking trust, or worse, the law? We're going to go way beyond just blurring faces and look at the world of AI-powered privacy. So, you know your data is a gold mine, right? But here's the thing, it's also a minefield. The big question we're all facing is how do you get all that amazing value out for your reporting without stepping on a massive privacy landmine? That's the core problem we're going to unpack. And here's where it gets really tricky. On one hand, you've got new regulations like the CSRD, the Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive. They demand super detailed, high-quality data to make your AI work. But on the other hand, you've got the GDPR, which is, all about protecting individual privacy. These two things are pulling in completely opposite directions. This whole mess has a name. It's called the privacy utility trade-off. Think of it like a slider. On one end, you have your raw data. It's perfectly useful, but totally illegal to use as is. On the other end, you can scramble it so much that it's perfectly private, but now it's completely useless for any real analysis. That sweet spot we're all looking for is somewhere in the middle. Now, for years, companies have tried to find that sweet spot. But as we're about to see, a lot of the old school ways of protecting data, well, they create a really dangerous illusion of safety. Okay, so this is absolutely critical to understand, especially under GDPR. There's a massive legal line in the sand. On one side, you have pseudonymization. That's when you swap a name for a code, like user 5911. The thing is, it's reversible. So under GDPR, it's still personal data. True anonymization, though, that's irreversible. And that is the only way to move data completely outside the rules of GDPR. That's the goal.
So yeah, true anonymization is the holy grail. It means you can innovate, share data, train your AI models, and you don't have to worry about GDPR. But, and this is a huge but, actually achieving true bulletproof anonymization is way, way harder than it sounds. And let me show you why with a great story. This isn't just some abstract theoretical problem. Let's look at a famous real-world example of what happens when anonymization goes horribly wrong. Let's talk about the Netflix prize. Picture this. It's the 2000s, and Netflix wants to seriously improve its movie recommendations. So they launch this big public competition. They release this massive data set with 100 million movie ratings, and they tell everyone, don't worry, it's been fully anonymized. And when you look at it, it seems pretty safe, right? They took out all the obvious stuff, no names, no personal info. All that was left was a scrambled user ID, the movie, the rating, and the date. I mean, what could possibly go wrong?
Well, it turns out a lot could go wrong. Researchers from the University of Texas figured out they could easily re-identify specific people. And they did it by doing something really simple. They just cross-referenced the anonymous Netflix data with public movie ratings people had left on sites like IMDb. This story was a massive wake-up call that basic anonymization is often just wishful thinking.
So that failure and others like it paved the way for something new. A whole new guard of AI-powered privacy solutions that can actually solve this trade-off for good.
First up is something called differential privacy. Now, this is seen as the gold standard. It sounds really complex, but the core idea is beautiful. You can learn everything you need to know about the forest without ever being able to identify a single tree. So here's basically how it works. You ask the database a question, like how many employees took this training? Instead of giving you the exact raw number, the system injects a tiny, carefully calculated amount of mathematical noise into the answer. The final number is still incredibly accurate for your analysis, but it's mathematically impossible to know if any one specific person is in that result. It's brilliant. And you actually see this in the real world every day. Think about your phone. Apple uses differential privacy to learn about things like new trending words or popular emoji, which helps them improve their keyboard. But here's the key. They can do all that without ever having the ability to read your actual text messages. Okay, now for the second technique, and this one is a real game changer. It's called synthetic data generation. And the idea here is wild. Instead of trying to scrub and clean your risky, real data, what if you just used an AI to create a brand new, perfectly safe artificial data set that's just as good? The process itself is just fascinating. First, an AI model basically studies your real private data. It doesn't copy it, it just learns all the deep statistical patterns and relationships inside. Then it generates a completely new data set from scratch that has those exact same patterns. The result is a data set that looks and feels just like your real data, but contains absolutely zero real people. It's 100% safe.
And look, this is not some far-off science fiction idea. This is happening right now. Gartner predicts that by 2026, a staggering 60% of all data used for AI and analytics is going to be synthetic. This tech is quickly becoming the new industry standard. So, what does this all mean for you? Well, when you start using these modern AI-powered techniques, you can finally stop thinking about privacy as just a compliance headache and start seeing it for what it is, a huge strategic opportunity.
So I want you to think about your own work for a second. When you look at all the sustainability data you're gathering, things like employee travel, supplier information, where is your biggest risk? Where's your own Netflix prize disaster just waiting to happen?
And what about your partners, the AI vendors you work with? It's time to start asking them the tough questions. How exactly are they ensuring privacy? Are they using state-of-the-art stuff like differential privacy or synthetic data? Or are they just crossing their fingers and hoping for the best?
And finally, just think about the possibilities here. What amazing, valuable, super sensitive data sets are currently locked away in a digital vault in your company simply because they're too risky to touch? With tools like synthetic data, you could finally unlock all those incredible insights to really boost your strategy.
Because at the end of the day, that's what this is really all about. Privacy isn't just some barrier you have to get over. When you do it right, it becomes a powerful way to build trust with your customers and your employees. And it's the key that finally unlocks the full potential of your most valuable asset, your data.